Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel solo mode. So they've done a pretty good job of adding more solo content. Honestly, they're doing it consistently enough that I really should be putting out just like 2 episodes of solo videos at a time instead of these longer series. They have started to oddly start to advertise Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel links inside of Master Duel, so just advertising a different company. And as far as having a daily quest to play in solo mode, you get one of those pretty much at the beginning of the month. And so logically, you would usually just wait until a day before the end of the month to get it, because you don't want to end up getting 2 of these in the course of the month, because you're just still not really getting rewarded quite enough to play in solo mode. You get some decent rewards, certainly. It's worth doing, but it's not worth doing twice. So we have 3 new things here, plus a lot of off-screen stuff that I still need to work on, and that is a great example of where it's not worth your time to do it twice. Inherently, as a whole, Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel demands a lot of your time and doesn't reward you quite well enough for the amount of time you put into it. The last half of this last month was a festival, and so you spent half of the month, it felt like, playing this festival instead of playing Rank Duel, which led to my Rank Duel standing going down. And in between those 2 challenges, in which it really wanted you to play twice as much as what I think I would want to play, I would have also had to have found extra time to do this solo content, and that just doesn't work. So let's look at We the Merry Plunder Patrol. The Plunder Patrol pirates are adept at building ships to take out to sea. Get on board, hoist the sails, let's set sail in search of treasure. We still are very much getting just kind of storyline stuff. As far as what these solo modes are. This is the base of the Plunder Patrol, located in a port town. Looks like a bunch of goblins. At the entrance waited a troll intending to welcome those hoping to join the Plunder Patrol. I guess they're trolls. Welcome, brother. From this day forward, you be all members of the Plunder Patrol. You probably don't know much about the group just yet, but I'll show you the ropes. See, this almost feels like this character is directly talking to you, and that you're just going through a narrative adventure as a actual player character, when all these other cutscenes have always been more of a storybook nature to them, where they're just explaining things to you. Also, it's worth pointing out, the animation here looks pretty awful, and isn't very consistent with any of the other animations we've seen in Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards, of which there has been a wide variety of different types of animations and themes of things that are getting animated amongst Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards, but even at that, this still feels weird. It would almost make more sense if they just straight out said that Yu-Gi-Oh! Art was done by a random assortment of artists, and they brought in some famous artists, famous Japanese artists, to draw certain cards. But that doesn't seem like anything that they really promote. They want to use, I assume, no-name artists that they don't have to actually promote. The Plunder Patrol is a band of pirates, you see, and we all take our orders from Captain Blackbeard. Now you might think we're some no-good band of brutes, but we ain't like that, I tell ye. Always a merry bunch, we set sails aboard our ship, made like only we know how. we sail here and there in search of treasure. When trouble brews, we work together and overcome it. We always share our joy with the whole crew. This definitely comes off as being a little kid-friendly, but I suppose Yu-Gi-Oh! Always is kind of a little kid-friendly. Particularly, I guess, in the more censored Western world, but also, I guess, generally, I imagine very little kids in Japan these days are reading the uncensored versions of the manga, or the original version of the manga of Yu-Gi-Oh! And anyone ever does something less than agreeable, we take pride in righting their wrong. That's the Plunder Patrol way. It's fairly common, I suppose, for series that are on the edge, or even series that are extremely mature at the beginning, to find a fandom in a younger audience and then slowly get watered down into a more kid-friendly version of itself. Almost half of all the 80s movies, action 80 movies, and Indiana Jones and Star Wars, for instance, in the West, are great examples of things that really would have been PG-13 or rated R movies originally, but they didn't have a PG-13 at that point, so they were labeled as PG, which gained them a kid audience, which led to Star Wars being a lot more popular than it really should be with kids, or Indiana Jones being a lot more popular with kids than it should be. And of course, if you look at the TT games, Lego games, where they have Lego-fied Star Wars games and Lego-fied Indiana Jones games, that totally is appealing to a very young audience. The captain's got quite the appetite, but his belly is a tiny thing next to his big heart. He responds to the crew's selfishness with kindness. Even the wicked-eyed bird, Black Eyes, has gotten attached to him. Black Eyes does as the captain tells him. He guides the ship along its course and survey the sign. He'll guide the ship along its course or survey the surrounding waters. Can't read. He may not look it, but he's another valuable member of the crew. Next, I'll introduce you to the three biggest names among our crew. First, you got Whitebeard, engineer as experienced as they come, and a soul who can maneuver the ship like he can. So each of these named characters are obviously going to be mainstay cards. But notice they're not bothering to actually show us the cards like we've seen in so many other of these solo modes. But on rare occasion, and I do mean rare, you see, sometimes he'll steer us plumb the wrong direction. That being said, he always gets us where we need to be when we need to be. It's a real head scratcher, you know. Then there's Redbeard, our navigator. He's a young'un, but he's always keeps us pointing in the right way. He's got a loose sense of time, but he's a leader respected beyond his years. And last up is Bluebeard, a mariner and a top-notch technician. He's always designing ships all the time, but from what I heard, he can make just about anything. If there's anything you need made, you can never go wrong asking him. So we get a lot of setup there for one scenario, to then immediately jump into another scenario just for more cutscene. We have so far seen zero hint at what the gimmick for the cards actually would be. Oh, that sounds like celebratory gunfire to me. The ship must be about to weigh anchor. That's always sure to boost the crew's morale. After seeing a new ship out to sea, it's customary for the gang to let the girl sail to a place nearby. Like a little celebratory skip around the pond, you know. that, there's Bluebeard's latest ship, the Lys, Lys. She's got loads of space for onboard anyone aboard, as well as a cargo hold for bounties of treasure. A real beauty, ain't she? There is an odd system here in which they seem to probably spend a lot of their profits making more ships, which only would really make sense if they were trying to become like warlords and just ever increase their marine fleet. It doesn't really make a lot of sense for pirates. And at a certain point, if there's one, there can only really be one captain of any one ship, and they have to be aboard the ship, so having more than one ship becomes a weird situation where you need somebody that the captain actually would listen to, and that doesn't make a lot of sense in pirate mentality. Let's see, moving on. She ain't the only boat that stays afloat, but it don't hurt to know the best. The ship with the horns, the Brian, she's nothing to sneeze at either, with the speed and cannon power. So it does seem like the gimmick is probably to have some kind of spells or traps that have ships that synergize with pirate characters. If you're looking for a short trip on a sunny day, she's your gal. Best stock up on fuel first though, the way she guzzles it. And there, that black ship over there is the Morik. That's the one you'll look for if you need to sail under the cover of darkness. Not that it makes sailing a pitch black sea an easy task, just to be clear. Still best to work alongside other ships. Speaking of which, we sing out real loud like we let each other know our positions. What? You can't really go unnoticed in the dark if you're singing, right? Don't be such a curmudgeon, brother. Again, he's just talking directly to you. There is definitely something about Yu-Gi-Oh! In that spells and traps tend to actually look like spells and traps, and monsters that would enter in the monster field tend to look like actual humanoid anthropomorphic creatures of some sort, and field spells tend to look like field spells. It certainly could have gone in a wilder direction where traps started to look like people and people started to look like traps. I think Magic the Gathering has gone in that direction in its old age and a few times. Alright, so now he's singing, sure, the sea can be a scary place full of all sorts of dangers, but still we can go out to meet the waves jovial as we can be. And no matter how smooth the sailing, the captain always got a plan B in case things turn sour. I assume that was supposed to be sing-songy, although I don't know how that would actually rhyme, other than the can be and plan B. Again, this maybe make more sense if it was in its original Japanese. The captain cares deeply for his comrades, so he wouldn't do it any other way. By the way, we'll be here till the ships come back to port. Till the ship comes back to port. Always got to make sure things are clean and ready for a feast. So there's plenty to do, brother. That is a very, very different story, and a very, very different way to present a story compared to what we've seen before. And it is only now, 15 minutes or so into this whole process, that we're starting to actually see cards and get a general idea of what the gimmick is for these cards. And unfortunately, I have to say, most of these solo adventures are completely irrelevant. If not all of them being completely irrelevant. Because these cards are based on old expansions that maybe would have affected the meta as it's called, what the current kinds of cards that would have actually been able to compete in a ranked mode tournament play. These kinds of expansions would have affected that meta at that point, but they definitely don't affect the meta now. So going through the solo modes, learning about these cards, and potentially even earning these cards that you might play with them is completely useless in any kind of ranked play. Also, I would say Master Duel still, to this point, hasn't really done anything to actually reward you for playing outside of ranked play. They've introduced a non-ranked play mode, probably since the last recording. Relatively recently, they've introduced that. But there's no reason why you would do that, other than you just don't want to compete against ranked play. But even at that, there's a better reason to just continuously play in ranked. Because you never know, you may just get free disconnect wins, which I am getting a lot of free disconnect wins where the network messes up or the opponent just surrenders for some crazy reason. But yeah, you can get enough of those to get you up in rank, to get you more monthly rewards. So yeah, as far as non-ranked play, that's a no-go. As far as playing with your friends, that's a no-go. There's no reward for that. Which, those are the only places where a irrelevant deck, like these cards almost certainly are irrelevant, could be played for fun, and it's just not going to happen. If anything, I'd say Yu-Gi-Oh! As a card game is so old that if somebody was playing with an old expansion of cards, they either would have to be obsessed and in love with it, kind of like in the anime of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you would have the insect guy that was just obsessed with insects and always played insects decks, or you would have the Harpy Lady girl that would always play Harpy Ladies, even though both the insects and the Harpy Ladies never really were competitive and never would win. So I mean, that would be about the only reason you were playing. Or the other reason would be that you had just spent so much money trying to make a deck that you ended up having cards that you either have to just put away in storage or continue to play to extract as much value out of how much you've invested in them. And that's a bad situation in any kind of collectible card game, to have somebody that has a deck that they've spent hundreds, if not more, thousands of dollars on, and then they really have to use it past the point where they can actually win with it. But that is the situation all collectible card games are trying to create, is to have the person who pays the most and opens the most card packs have the better chance of winning. Back to what Plunder Patrol does. The Plunder Patrol Fusion, Synchro, and XYZ monsters have the effects that keep you the upper hand, such as interfering with the opponents and supporting the development of allies. They also have effects that can be activated even during the opponent's turn, as long as they're equipped with a Plunder Patrol card. Make sure to take advantage of these effects of Plunder Patrol monsters that allow them to be treated as equipped cards. Okay. Let's see what the exact thing is that we're going to be asked to do. Plunder Patrol Party, or Party. Use Plunder Patrol cards to win the duel during this turn. Try some Golden Hair, the newest Plunder Patrol. Alright, so Golden Hair is a young blonde troll girl. You can special summon Bluebeard at the Plunder Patrol shipwright from your hand when you have at least one Plunder Patrol monster, excluding one with the same card name. Activate the effect of Bluebeard, the Plunder Patrol shipwright in your hand, and special summon it. Use the 2 monsters to link summon Blackbeard, the Plunder Patrol Captain. One thing I have learned more and more from playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Lately is just how important it is, if you're going to play highly competitive Yu-Gi-Oh!, to have a deck that has a strategy that uses the extras deck quite a bit and probably has some effects for when cards go into the graveyard, and has some effects that activate when you're banishing cards, and has some traps, and has a field spell, and has some spells. You just have to play every strategy possible, because in the high level ranked play there's going to be somebody that is doing something in each of those 3 piles. You can activate the effect of Bluebeard, the Plunder Patrol shipwright that was sent to the graveyard from the field as a link material. Let's discard Plunder Patrol Party from your hand to activate that effect. It didn't really tell us what that effect was going to do, though. Active effect of Golden Hair, the newest Plunder Patrol in your graveyard and special summon it. Discarding Whitebeard from your hand and activate that effect. So go over here. You see, this is just a great example of what I was just saying. You gotta have something that can be activated, or something that synergizes around the graveyard and the extras. Now Whitebeard, the Plunder Patrol Helm, has been sent to the graveyard from your hand. You can activate its effect. Activate the effect and special summon Redbeard. And I think that one is being summoned from your deck. Using Redbeard's Redbeard and Golden Hair as synchro materials. Synchro summon Plunder Patrol Ship Bran. So I guess this is making the ship more of a creature than a spell. So that buffs that up. Synchro summon. Activate Plunder Patrol Party and Redbeard Plunder Patrol Matey respectively. So seems like it probably doesn't matter which of these it equips to. So you're seeing a lot of buffing and a lot of moving. Part of the problem though with Master Duel is that when you're playing ranked you have a timer. So doing these 25 card combinations where you're just it really isn't 25 cards of course, but when you're just summoning something and then sacrificing it and then summoning it back and then sacrificing it again, doing all that in a reasonable amount of time tends not to really happen. And very often still I run into situations where I just lose the game because I ran out of time and because I'm distracted and just not playing with 100% of my focus. Now it's been about 25 minutes to get to our first duel, and certainly I could play my deck, but let's try the loner deck first. There's a bit of a weirdness on this, I will say, as far as the solo mode stuff, because it really isn't going anywhere. It's just kind of getting me more. Yeah, I don't know if there really is a need to have more gems. Like, because that's basically all you're getting. Okay. You can send this equipped card to the graveyard, special summon one plunder patrol monster, the same attribute. So that wouldn't be a terrible move. I could also get rid of this, which means if I hadn't put this on the field like this, I could have discarded it instead. And honestly, I should activate this and follow this logic. You draw a card out of your deck. That means you're lowering the options of that of getting the third copy of that. Then you discard that. Then you decide who we want. Since we played the same strategy before, it makes a lot of sense to go ahead and just activate this and put this face up. Let's see. Return it to the hand. See, that would summon that. Then that equips that. Then I could return that to the hand, or we could summon something different if it would make sense to summon something different. Which I don't think it really does. So for your first step, that's probably your best bet. I guess an interesting question would be, could I have special summoned something just using this and the equipped card monster? Let's see, what's the effect here? You can target one effect monster you control, special summon one plunder monster from your extra deck with the same attribute. I guess that's not terrible. So the general idea here, I think, is that you're constantly going to try and grow more and more characters on the field and grow a bigger collection of people on the field and stronger collections of people on the field. I may get just a one-turn kill here. Of course, this guy is also playing the same strategies, so strategy against strategy is a little weird, and it's not something that you tend to really run into as much as you would think in actual ranked play. Like, in actual ranked play, there's enough variety as far as different kinds of meta decks to play that you tend not to see the same cards, same strategies. Alright, well, I think I got screwed there. I think this just stopped all spell card effects. Yeah, unless I have some kind of synergy here with this card. And one of the things I'm still failing to really learn is to put things in a defensive mode. So yeah, that's an aspect that I need to take more advantage of. Although in this case, even if I had put that card in the attack mode, it wouldn't have mattered. I guess in a solo mode, if you're playing strategy versus strategy, it does kind of open up twice as many opportunities to realize and learn some tricks and gimmicks. Yeah, one of the problems I also run into is that the meta decks I do play in ranked are decks that are suggested to me, and so it's not like I have a clear and obvious understanding of what I'm supposed to be doing with those cards or how to actually play the decks. So my own incompetence on the aspect leads to failures, and this is kind of a great example of that. Whereas I can go to Zodiac Tri-Brigade as a meta deck that I have played well enough and long enough that I have finally figured out how it really works. Of course, this isn't going to be that fun because this is straight up going to just be the same old thing that I always do with this deck, because there really is only one strategy here, which is to get as many of these beasts like characters into the field as possible. That way I can do this. That way I can do that, moving everything from the graveyard to the banished field. And in the turn there. Even doing all of that is probably unnecessary in the first turn. And particularly with Zodiac Tri-Brigade, you have this ability to banish any card on the field a lot of times, so that tends to ruin a lot of the strategies. It's also a fairly easy way to get a 3000 attack monster on the field. But I have this terrible tornado or twin tornado as another option. I also have this card as another option. Although things are not looking great here. There's things I know I can do here. Okay. I'm gonna discard this. I'm going to end up destroying this one and this one. That's going to lower severely the attacks of everything. End up with this. summon this, activate this. We'll banish 3 cards because we only got 3 cards in the graveyard. And that will give us this character, which then we can activate to banish another card in the graveyard for no real reason. And then from that we can special summon that. It's not anything special around this, so we'll see if he finds a way to just do that. So then you just attack here with a full 3000 damage. Well, they are defeating my strategy fairly well, which is weird because this is definitely not a deck that I've ever seen anybody play. And you'd think if it worked fairly well. Although in all fairness, Zodiac Tri-Brigade, as of this recording, has stopped being a meta deck worth playing also. And it's worth mentioning that as somebody who is only going to be a free-to-play player, yeah, at this point it's just a time saver to surrender. I have hit this wall at which this game does not really give you enough crafting points in particular to craft new decks and stay a free-to-play player. So I was able to build exactly one extra meta deck called Flowander or something like that, that honestly I'm still learning and I'm not sure I particularly like as well. But after that point, there's just like no way I'm gonna be able to craft the next meta deck, whatever the next meta deck will be, because the cycle to get crafting points only works if you buy a ridiculous amount of card packs and have a ridiculous amount of extra cards, or you take a pretty awful trade-off of actively destroying your potential future collection of cards and just getting rid of a whole bunch of stuff. Played a little bit differently there because I had already discarded another card. Alright. Let's see, this part in which we summon these Zodiac cards is incredibly slow. Just have to go through all of them to have 4 cards that potentially would end up in your graveyard later. or 4 cards that you can use this character's the Dryden's ability to destroy face-up cards. So we use the 4 in our graveyard at this point. Summon this one. And then we have 4 more later. So you hit this, and because that attacked directly, that actually opens the door to special summoning Zeus in the main phase 2, which very rarely do I go to main phase 2 to recognize that I can now special summon Zeus. And this is a much more typical experience when I was playing with Zodiac, is that in 2 turns you can win. And I would heavily suspect that they don't have a strategy here that can beat that. Must be first special summon by its own effect when you... I could cancel this and destroy that card at this point. But let's not do that. Let's just see what happens. Because that's still not really enough to get him anywhere. And what I'm gonna do is go ahead and just activate this and negate his effect. You know, at this point, just do this. The problem with this strategy, however, will become fairly obvious, is that when you activate Zeus's effect, it destroys everything else on the field. This will add another card to my hand. Zeus is a pretty powerful negate character. And there's nothing else that needs to be done, so we won't bother to summon anything, we'll just attack and win. But is that a satisfactory way to get forward in this solo mode? Not really. Because still off screen at some point I'm going to have to try and play the way they meant me to play to unlock this trap card. And then as far as this, I do not even have enough resources to unlock that, which seems crazy. So we have to watch the cutscene before we could even unlock it and do the other duels. Well, that's kind of out of nowhere. Looks like the list made it back safe and sound. Captain looks to be in high spirits. That means a good result if I had to guess. And we're all set to sail. The waiting party's ready for the banquet to begin. A feast to celebrate a successful voyage. The best part of the whole thing. Yeah. As far as the banquet is concerned, it doesn't matter who's coming back from the voyage and who's been here the whole time. It's time for us to share the good fortunes. Oh, the captain's calling for the apprentice. Suppose the kid's a full-fledged member of the crew now. Oh, what do you mean? Well, you see, when we plunder patrols are recognized as full-fledged members, we receive a spyglass from the captain. For us, that one possession is as important as our very lives. It's just more than some tool for navigation. It's proof the captain sees us as his comrades. That that kid'll be more zealous to be a part of the Plunder Patrol than ever before. He's wishing you luck earning a spyglass of your own someday. Do your darndest. I ain't even got mine yet. Yeah, not a lot of story there, frankly. I would kind of hate to think that they actually are bothering to, they're really bothering to go hire people to write these kinds of stories when they really don't do anything. And see, this is a nightmare now because we now have the secret pack that we've unlocked for doing the single player stuff, and I think that only unlocks the first time, so we'd have to look here and see how many cards we have, which is very few, which would justify spending 1,000. I have 6,000 gems, but I wouldn't want to spend more than 3,000 gems at most. Honestly, I kind of would like to spend only 20,000 gems or even 10,000 gems, but that's not it. That's not going to happen. If solo mode gave you new packs every time you went through solo mode, and if you just played the certain challenges and it always gave you one pack as a reward from the specific expansion, that would be a lot nicer than what they actually do, which is to simply give you this 24-hour countdown in which you have to then spend the premium currency to purchase the cards, and spending the premium currency here lowers the amount of premium currency you would have elsewhere, and I guess it inevitably means that you will fall further and further behind as far as how many of these solo experiences you can really have, because now if I decide to open up another secret pack, if I spend those gems, then I can only really do one more solo mode, because I can't afford to unlock a secret pack and then not have gems available to spend in the secret pack. So yeah, even though this is supposed to be a nice and happy situation right now where we're getting new cards, I just realized I've been totally screwed over here. On top of being screwed over normally, just with all these keys potentially unlocking other secret packs. And this is the conversion of turning players into payers, as it were, that they're trying to do, and it's ham-fisted and not something that feels good, or that I think even that many people will engage in. But yeah, it sucks, certainly. Sucks that there isn't a way to use a secondary currency to really get packs. It sucks that you're not just given packs in general through grinding at all. It sucks that there's a high level of greediness in these expansion cards packs anyways, because you're only getting 4 of the specific cards you want, and then the rest are just out of a pool of about 7,000 mostly garbage cards that you can't actually use. So now we are in a situation where we have unlocked this one, and this one as a potential place to open card packs. And so yeah, 5 copies of this is ridiculously high, but there is slightly enough of an argument to spend another 10,000 packs, 10,000 for this. And definitely this is what I want to see, is the guaranteed ultra rare pack, so that we don't have to spend another 10,000. Yeah, this really sucks because I had a plan for today. As far as I was going to do all the solo mode content in this game and catch up. And now I realize I can't do it. I can't afford it. I can't afford to play a free-to-play game, as it were, if I'm going to play smartly. Which that just kind of ruins my plans for the day, I suppose, and highlights that I'm not going to get very far. Clearly, the more generous way this would play is that I would have done the solo mode stuff and they would have given me a pre-built deck with these cards instead of just unlocking the ability to purchase the cards. And we're getting more keys, which will unlock more timed opportunities to spend money. There really isn't even a good way after the fact to build a deck based on these cards. Like, if you really did want to build a deck like what we've seen, you can't copy a recipe over. So you would have to know the names of these cards that you wanted to build a deck around, or you'd have to hope that they all have Plunder Patrol in the name. You can't really filter by expansion, which you probably should be able to filter by expansion or theme or something. So that's 5 more secret packs, although it seems like most of those keys just doubled down on the same expansion packs before. So yeah, we were playing solo mode and then all of a sudden we get dropped into shopping in the shop. That's ridiculous. And so now it would be a question about looking at this and just looking at how many you have. This expansion secret pack would make sense to actually engage with and purchase. This one, not so much. You have a decent amount of the normals. You're definitely missing some ultra rares and super rares, but that's the odds of getting those ultra rares and super rares is pretty low. So you wouldn't probably want to engage with that one. This one, probably a no also. There's just a high chance of duplicates on that. And then this one. You could say yes to this one, but you probably would still want to lean towards a no. But yeah, here's the problem is I should really engage with this and spend another 20,000 more gems on this, but if I engage with this and spend 20,000 gems on this, it's going to probably give me some more secret packs and it's going to put me back into this whole cycle. And yeah, at this point you definitely would not open any more packs towards that. But that totally screws me once again as far as the idea of going through this one or going through this one. I see that there's a gate here, so I wonder if that means there actually is even more single player content that you'd want to engage with. Let's go ahead and unlock this gate, which arguably maybe... I seriously doubt we're going to run into a gate that can not be unlocked. So I think what they're trying to do is balance it out, so you always have about 50 to 150 of each of these secondary currencies, which don't make any sense at all for existing. And then what's gonna suck again is that either I have to win on this loner deck build, now playing a higher level of the strategy around playing this loner deck, or I play with my pre-built deck just to see the other loner deck, and either way that opens up a lot of opportunity for time wasting. And yeah, it's been about an hour, so it's a lot of extra hours when you do this solo mode stuff, when I could have just been playing ranked mode instead. Let's see. So if we summon this, 16, I think you're probably better doing this. Which card are we gonna discard? Probably that one. Don't activate that. Put that on the field. Let's see, at this point, I don't think I want anything else. Let's see what happens. I don't know which element I should choose. Let's go with water. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. Equip this to this one. Activate this effect. Summon this. Still can't do anything else. Start the battle phase and see what happens with potential traps and such. See what we can activate here. Let's go with light this time. Let's go with fire this time. Seems like that's not activating no matter what I do. I don't think this trap is particularly useful. Hmm. Let's activate this effect and see what happens. Alright, special summon that. Putting that there. I don't think I want to activate that effect yet. I could activate this effect, but I don't know what would happen if I were to activate it and then target that ship. Let's go ahead and activate this effect and then move this out of the way. Summoning this instead here, putting that there, destroying what was equipped to it. Can't help but notice this feels incredibly slow paced. I don't know what you could even really do to speed this up. It's really, I think, just more of I think it's more of just a case of me being uninterested in what's going on. Yep, and I am just utterly getting wrecked. And I don't know a strategy past this point that would even succeed for me, so... Let's see. Wind? Discard that, I guess. Hope that works. See, these are all elemental saber things, so I think the idea would have been to make one fire, earth, water, things like that, and then maybe I would have an elemental saber extra card that I could summon by banishing 4 different elements or more in the graveyard. Special summon Black Eyes, I guess. We'll see if that works towards anything. See, this is a different trick. Okay. So yeah, that keeps everything working nicely. changed nothing. And then the question is, what is our biggest attack monster that we could monster reborn? It's probably not that monster. Can't special summon anything. This card is not doing anything. So the whole strategy here is fairly obvious that it is designed in such a way to be more focused on the element saber, which is to just highlight that this is a deck that really is more built around a different idea later on. It's something that would only make sense with future attacks and future monsters or future cards, because I bet Elemental Saber cards came out after these cards came out. See, this is really just dumb luck that I'm making it even this far. Like, it definitely doesn't feel justifiable that I would that we would succeed here and win. Yeah, I think at this point, this is the point where you say, no, I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to summon another one of these. And then put that back that way. But if he can get one more defense position monster, he can probably defeat me. What's this? Target a spell or trap card. Let's see if we can do that. Banish that. Monster Reborn instead of Monster Reborn. Let's see. Just continuously trying to discard cards. And go ahead and just equip that guy, I guess. What's funny is the equipping of cards now really don't have a value to them. The real trick is to do this and then get major props from that, and then possibly set this. Possibly summon this, so then you can activate this. Say no to that and instead discard that. Yeah, that didn't make sense. So then the trick here is we've got what looks like earth, earth, dark, and water. So if we change this to divine, that should go up. And then change this to fire, that should go up. And then I don't think you do anything else as far as special summoning something. This might get a major power buff, but probably not as big as what I've got on the field already. So he's just going to constantly activate his effect to get more defensive things on the field. Oh, I activated the effect here, which made me skip my battle turn. Otherwise I could have just won at that point. Well, that was stupid of me. Right, summon that. And go into battle mode. What? Apparently I couldn't go into battle mode that time either, unless I'm just ending the turn and being really stupid. Yeah, I'm very confused as to why I lost both turns there. This is a whole lot of doing nothing, is what it feels like. Just a lot of work here, and then I still very possibly am going to lose here. And obviously some of this is coming from just a general lack of understanding of what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, I might win, probably wouldn't win because he ran out of cards. No, I'd almost certainly lose because I ran out of cards first. Right. So you put this on the field to get that buff. I don't think we activate anything. Okay, now we have fire, water, earth, dark. I think earth. So we activate this. We'll go with light. And then we'll go with this. Now we have two fires. So we'll go with divine. Let's see, I think we still have two earths. But I don't even know what the other combination would be. Earth, we have fire, we have water, we have dark, we have light, we have divine. I think we just stick with earth in that case, because it seems like we definitely have one of each, and having one of each doesn't seem to have an extra card for summoning something. Yeah, you would think there would be an elemental saber extra card in there. Going to battle mode. And we can actually battle. So attack here with our strongest character to do 1200, and then attack here with our strongest character and win. But boy, was that more difficult than it should have been. Way longer. That was like 25 minutes to do that challenge. Just a ridiculous amount of playing around, and that gets you a card back, which is cool and all, but it's almost certainly something I never actually use. And then this will give us an icon or 200 crystals here. Remember, we spent 22,000 crystals opening secret packs, so getting 200 crystals does not make up for that. Getting 2 legacy pack tickets is almost the equivalent of getting nothing, and getting this one trap card that's a normal rarity, or 3 copies of that trap card, a normal rarity, is basically nothing. So yeah, these experiences are very much just staying consistent as far as the solo mode. They're not getting better. They're not teaching me things that are relevant. They are teaching me things, and I'm glad for that. And I get the idea of them having this desire that people would go back and look at some of the older cards and figure out how they work and play them, but trading cards are quite literally disposable. They are cheap cardboard pieces of paper, and they're designed so that they could be broken easily, so you'd have to buy more fairly quickly. Let's see. And even if you don't accidentally destroy your trading cards, you tend to have an update or an expansion that makes your trading cards less useful and less valuable than they already were. There is a theoretical future, and I don't know if I mentioned it here, where you could have something like a wireless mouse charging pad and some screens, maybe e-paper screens, and then you could have like a digital collection of 10 to 12 e-paper screens the size of a playing card, and the thinness almost as thin as a playing card. And then you could have something that feels like playing a playing card game in your hand while still while still having less cards that you would have to carry around in a deck, and you could put some digital rights like cryptocurrency nonsense on it to make those kinds of cards more valuable, even though they would just be like JPEG images on a screen, and you would just simulate the effect of drawing from a deck by swiping the card over something like an NFC reader. So there would just be spots on the wireless charging mouse pad that would say, okay, at this spot, you know, they're acting like they are drawing a card. At this spot, they're acting like they're placing a card in the monster zone. At this spot, they're acting like they're putting it in the trap zone or a field spell zone. And yeah, the screens arguably wouldn't even need to have a touchscreen on them, but they could have a very rudimentary touchscreen on them also, where it doesn't have to be particularly precise. And almost certainly that is what the future will be for collectible cards games. They'll get away from the idea of just printing cardboard and creating waste. I don't even know if collectible card games have even made any attempt to use recycled paper at a certain level. Probably have done a little bit of that, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's considerably less than you would think. Alright, let's see if we can activate this and bring this on the field. See what this does. Special summon, I guess, this at that point. Put this back on the field. I guess discarding this. Like, it definitely feels like there's a Fire Warrior strategy we're trying to have here. I have no idea what I'm supposed to be equipping here. Like, these are all just fiends. So like everything I've done here led to no success. This guy is still stronger. He still has an ability to destroy everything equipped to me. Still has the ability to do a decent amount of damage. I can activate this, and I can move this out of the way. I can do this, and I can put this face up. And then we can try discarding this to banish this. So maybe that was the strategy I was supposed to have done first. I want to see what this field. Let's see, I'm like down to 900 health. So I don't think I survive long enough to even see how this would work. Summon this. Activate this effect. Summon this. Activate this effect. Do this. To summon this. Activate this effect. Banishing that card. Which gets that face up. Jeez, this is working way better. I don't know why I would have wanted to do that. Okay, well, The good news is with this attack we can win here. The started damage step as this card attacks, you can equip one face-up monster of the field to this card and gain 500. Sure. No, let's not do that right now. We may do that later. So it just is going to come down to what's the one card this guy draws that possibly could do 900 damage to me. So I think we've got it here, but I wouldn't be surprised if we still struggle. Summon another character onto the field. Doesn't sound like a bad move. Let's just not activate that because I don't want to even read what it says. Let's just not activate that because I don't want to read. I think we have a victory here. I don't see. Maybe we will be very close. Nah, not that close. We had 2,000 damage left to do. And he had only 300 life points. And again, though, that feels like that was at least 5 minutes too long. So, yeah. We beat this one not using the Loner deck, but instead using the Zodiac Tri-Brigade. We beat this one using the Loner deck, which just shows that the Zodiac Tri-Brigade should be done off screen. Same is true here, Zodiac Tri-Brigade should be done off screen. And now I am effectively screwed because I wanted to do these other two and I can't. I have played a little bit off screen as far as this solo play challenge modes, to the point where there's only one more of these duels that needs to be done, but there's really no reason not to just wait until you have another solo daily mission that says play in solo mode, because now that I've accomplished that, almost certainly by tomorrow I'll have another daily mission that says play in solo mode, and that doesn't really help a lot of people to potentially want you to come back and play in solo mode every single day. And it screws me again as far as just the crystals. So I'm going to have to just decide to not spend any more gems on crystals. I've got plenty of these legacy packs, so I can open 10 of these to wrap up this episode, but that is pretty much all I can do. And these legacy pack openings are the most boring because all you get is 2 legacy cards, in this case neither one of which are new, and there's no guarantee of rarity. Even though I just got a rare and an ultra rare, you can, I think, end up getting 2 normal cards. And while this one is new, this is also a very, very old Yu-Gi-Oh card. That's why it's in the legacy pack. And so you're just not getting anything that is likely to be useful. You're just filling out a collection of pieces of cardboard in a digital format, where honestly there's so much of a legacy of Yu-Gi-Oh cards that you should be handed 2,000-3,000 cards as soon as you make an account in Duel Masters, of just very old cards, legacy cards, because it's not going to benefit you at all to have these cards, and it doesn't hurt overall ranked play if every player did have these cards. Yep, not a lot of extra stuff happening there. Decent number of new cards, but nothing to write home about. And you really don't get that full understanding of how little cards are worth until you go into this edit deck mode, which they've tried to make some improvements on this, but they really haven't done much. They have added this unlimited mode, certainly, but it's still a nightmare. So I'm sorting this by the number owned, moving downward, which lets me look at almost every card except for forbidden cards, so you have to add forbidden cards into the mix too. So as far as variety of cards, we are at this point. It is past the halfway point, 6 months into the game of playing free to play, at which I have gotten at least one copy of the 7,000 to 10,000 cards that may be available in this game. I think it's somewhere closer to 7,000 overall. If you open a Master Duel pack, you'd assume that their collection of 7,000 cards includes all cards. But that does not highlight specifically how many of these cards that I haven't collected are ultra rares or super rares, and it doesn't highlight the fact that because there are different crafting points for ultra rares and super rares, it'd be very easy for me to craft a bunch of normals and craft a bunch of rares, but it is pretty much impossible to craft any super rares or ultra rares, and those tend to be the cards you actually need and would want to play. Like, over the years, the ratio of good cards to bad cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Has gotten worse and worse, and arguably Magic the Gathering hasn't gone so much in that direction because Magic the Gathering just kind of bans all old cards in general, so they can have an elimination of a lot of bad cards as much as they are eliminating good cards when they cycle out an entire expansion. But you would think dismantling all extra cards would lead to major rewards, but it doesn't. Of the extra cards that can actually be dismantled, in which you have 4 more of your cards into 3 cards, there is this caveat that says cards that cannot be dismantled will not be dismantled, and there is still a huge number of cards, even though they've made some slight changes there, that can't be dismantled. And yeah, it would be nice if you could search in here by expansion, but no such luck. Nor here. Nor can you see the cards that can be dismantled. But I can tell you right now, if I have 7 copies of Gladiator's Return, it's because they can't be dismantled. And that is kind of the consistent frustration here, is that there are things I have 8 copies of, 7 copies of, and I just can't get rid of any of those extras, even if to potentially get crafting points. Like this card here, I have 3 extra copies of. That would give me a decent amount of super rare crafting points. But yeah, the game just will not let me get rid of the extra cards I do want to get rid of, nor does it really want to help you as a free-to-play player. Instead, it wants to get you addicted to the idea of spending money and getting gems, but even that concept does not really make a lot of sense, because buying 10,000 extra gems is not really enough. If you were going to become a whale in this game and start spending money to get really competitive, I imagine you probably need to spend $300 to $400 minimum before it starts to have any effect at all. And I suspect the vast majority of people who play Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel are staying free to play only, because there doesn't seem to be a good reason to not stay free to play, to actually start buying things. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording, and I'm just going to have to do something else with my time, as it were, and maybe in a couple of weeks I'll have a bit more gems and feel a little bit more comfortable moving on with the solo player mode. There is also the possibility that I do the next solo player section and it unlocks yet another solo player section that is just being hidden at the moment, although it seems like they've probably given up on that concept. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and give me a game off my wish list. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.